All right, check this out. We got four quadrants. Quadrant 1, urgent, important. Quadrant 2, important, not urgent. Quadrant 3, urgent, not important. And quadrant 4, not urgent, not important. Now, this is from Stephen Covey's work. It's from his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I found this was introduced to me years ago, and I've been using it for domestic violence and substance abuse relapse prevention. And what this is this is a time management approach to relapse prevention. What Covey did was interviewed a number of very successful, highly effective people to determine where they spent most of their time, which one of these quadrants they spent most of their time. And so if you had to take a guess, where do you think the most successful people spend most of their time? All right. Let me define what types of behaviors go on in each quadrant, and then it might be a little bit easier for you to figure it out. Quadrant 2, important, not urgent. That quadrant is comprised of things that are important, but not urgent, right? Like health. Health is important, but it's not urgent. Finances, same thing. Relationships, housing, spirituality, education, all these things are important, but they're not urgent. You know what I mean is they are things that we need to do if we want to have a good life, but they don't really scream at us. You're not required to do those things. You can put off doing them. They don't demand our attention. Quadrant 3, urgent, not important. It could be like TV, the game, social media, a sale, something you just got to get to, but it's not really important. That's quadrant 3, urgent, not important. Quadrant 4, not urgent, not important. Some of the same things, watching TV, social media, getting high, womanizing. These things are not important and not urgent. Now it's probably pretty easy to see where the most effective, successful people spend most of their time. Check out quadrant 2. Successful people are working on things like their health and their finances and their relationships and housing and spirituality and education. They're spending the majority of their time there because what Covey found out was very interesting. You see how quadrant 1 is empty? Well, if quadrant 2 tasks are left neglected, when you go to the doctor and he diagnoses you with some sort of disease, then your health becomes urgent and important, and it moves over. See, when your transmission goes out in your car, finances become urgent and important. When someone moves your cheese and you have to find a new job, then skills and education become urgent and important. And so while as human beings, we can decide that anything is important. You can decide you want to watch every football game that comes on TV. You could do that. But then the next thing we got to figure out are what are the right things to have be important. If the highly effective people are hanging out in quadrant 2, what are the rest of us doing? Well, Covey found out that everybody else is hanging out in either quadrant 4 or in quadrant 4, bouncing back and forth to quadrant 1, or hanging out in quadrant 3 to 1, back and forth, basically managing through chaos, putting out fires, And the stress of putting out fires makes us want to escape, use drugs, or lash out, hit someone. So if we can stay in quadrant 2 and work on things before they move over and become a problem, before they turn into a fire, before we're stressed, when we're less likely to be able to handle it without, wanting to use a drug, or maybe even using a drug, or wanting to hit someone, or even hitting someone, we'd be much better off. So where we spend our time is important. Now, the real interesting thing about this to me is that people that use 12-step recovery understood this before Covey even came up on it. Because 12-step recovery teaches you how to stay in quadrant 2. It helps you identify what's important but not urgent and how to work on it ahead of time. That's the real interesting thing to me. So you could, if you get into 12-step recovery and practice what they're explaining and teaching, you can improve the quality of your life without knowing anything about this.